close to where we're gonna be. Tomorrow, all day, we're gonna see the early voting judges. They come in for their last minute class, pick up their supplies, we share stories, we share future projections, and they're a fantastic group of people. So if nothing's happening tomorrow, y'all can come by. We have a class at 9, and we have one at 1. If you'd like to literally talk to any of the early voting judges to see how prepped they are. Because we're trying to tell them, just rest this weekend, just rest. Because Monday morning, we're off. We do expect lines, so we're so glad you're here because we just want to tell the voters, number one, be prepared when you come in. You know we're still under photo ID, so bring your ID. And for those of you that have scanned your driver's license to your cell phones, we cannot accept that as your driver's license. We need the physical copy of your driver's license. So that's one thing. Second thing is, you heard me say be prepared. Please make our website your best friend for the next couple weeks. On that site, we have an early voting map. We have the early voting sites and the times, the areas. But then after we start voting on Monday, every night before we leave and wrap it up here, we post the number of people who voted at every site. And so we all know right away Brook Hollow is always number 1. But then we have some sites that don't do as much business as Brook Hollow does. So what we're recommending is that the voters just take 5 minutes and look at that list. And you're gonna see some sites that maybe only had 100 or 200 people vote. We're recommending that they drive a few more minutes and go to one of those least active sites. So if we could tell people that, that would help tremendously. I think that would make them, obviously, less stressed. We don't want them waiting in a long line. Our election officials are fantastic at putting everybody through. But please, again, we always ask, please tell the voters, please tell your viewers to pack their patience. There may be a line, which for us would be wonderful. We want those voters out there. But again, it's going to be a long time since they've seen a line. So we want to pack their patience. We want them to be prepared. You keep hearing me say that word. Yes, with your ID. But yes, make our website your friend. On our website, they can put in their house number and their birth date. That will bring them their individual sample ballot. Because like we've talked about before, these sample ballots are huge. And some voters may not know who their state rep is. Because on this one, we have all of them listed. But when they print off their individual ballot, it will have the candidates for them. They can print it off on a regular white sheet of paper, do their homework, mark it, and then take it into the voting area with them. Because there's going to be, we know, all kinds of candidates. If they're in the city of San Antonio, there's the charter. There's a charter at Shirts. So the more homework they do, the more they prepare, the better it will be. Included in this sample ballot and their individual sample ballot, the state of Texas also has write-ins. Now this will be posted in every single booth. We mail it out with every piece of mail. There are 3 races that will have a write-in line on their ballot. So if they decide to vote for a write-in, they will touch that button and it will bring up a keyboard where they can type the name in. Now please understand, we here are only able to count a name that's on this sheet of paper. So they can't put themselves, they can't put a friend, they can't put Mickey Mouse. These are the official candidates who formed a declared write-in sheet of paper. This came from the state of Texas. So this will be included beside every sample ballot. It will be hanging in each of the express vote booths where they are, so that they won't have to remember how to spell the names if they choose to do that. Okay, the three races that we have write-ins for: President, Vice President, U.S. Senator, and Railroad Commissioner. So they will be on everyone's ballot. That will be in right there with them. Today, before I came in, pardon my little purple notes, we have 1,296,036 people registered to vote for this election. And before you ask, in 2020, the last presidential, we had 1,188,913. So you can see the growth in Bexar County. We've been talking about it. You all have been, telling everyone the growth is just amazing. Okay, on our mail ballots, in 2020, we had 121,000 applications. Of that, we counted 92,000 paper ballots. Now this time, today, as I walk down the hall, we have 42,760 applications in-house. And we've had a little over 7,000 ballots be returned so far. So the last day for us to accept an application for a ballot by mail is Friday, October 25th. That application must be in our office by the close of business. This isn't like voter registration where it just has to be postmarked. It has to physically be in this building so that we have time to process it, get it out to them, and then they have time to get it to us. Any ballot that they're returning, again, must be in our office at the close of the election, November 5th. So on Monday morning, we're ready to go. We have 51 early voting sites, which is the most we've had. So we're ready. We're anxious. Our election officials are anxious. And is my last P for this election when we say prepare and all that good stuff? Please, please, with your patience, thank the election officials. They are an amazing group of people, and they are putting their lives on hold for the next 2 weeks. So please, we know there's going to be issues. We know someone's not going to have the right ID. Just please be patient. They're a fantastic set of people, and I want you to remember to thank them. Okay, any questions?
Hey, Jackie, I have another P for you, politics.
Yeah, it's out there.
So the driving narrative in this election is non-citizens voting. You've heard this before. There's conspiracy theorists out there who are dead set that non-citizens are voting in every election, and they're swinging elections. Help me and help explain to the public what is done to prevent non-citizens from voting.
That's a great question, and we know it's getting a lot more press as we're moving forward to this. We understand that. In our registration process, when anyone applies to register to vote, there literally is a box on the card that checks to say, I am a U.S. citizen. We won't process that if that box is not checked. We send another confirmation card saying, did you miss this? Is this correct? Then they have 30 days to answer us. So number one, we are not going to process it. If we get one that has a check, we process it. And as we said before, our list, our work product, gets sent to the Secretary of State every night. They are the ones that work with DPS, SSN, Department of Homeland Security, all of those different government organizations. And every one of those applications gets checked through each one of those to make sure that, yes, Jackie lives on Main Street, this is her birth date, this is her driver's license number, and she's a citizen. If they pass those checks on the state level, then the next morning when we bring it back in, it's been assigned, we call it the VUID number, the Voter Unique Identifier. They're the only ones at the state level that can register people to vote. They come here, our office processes them. Now, we've gone one step further this time. We are giving all of our officials a list because the Secretary of State alerted us that there are DPS driver's licenses for non-citizens. And across that driver's license, it says limited in red letters. So again, we're going to give everyone who works the elections will see that. And so at that point, the only way that voter could vote is they will have to come here to the main early voting site where we can do that check immediately. They will not be able to vote at any of the sites. So again, we're trying our utmost. I firmly believe that the system we have and the list we have is as clean as it can possibly be at this point with all those checks and balances. Is it going to be perfect? I don't know. That's the bottom line. I think so. We're educating our judges. We're going to do the best we can. We good? Take a picture of that seal. Tell people that's going to be the best thing that they should wear with pride.
I've got another one for you. Yeah.
I did too, Jackie, sorry.
Please go for it.
Okay, so can I come in wearing my candidate gear supporting a certain person or candidate?
You know the answer to that.
But I
Come
need to hear
on.
you say it.
You know the answer to that. No, again, we're dealing with the national narrative. We're dealing with the emotions that are out there. And again, we've given the directives, and when you're here tomorrow, if you come back, our election officials will all have a statement that they can show and share with people. No candidates, no political parties that are on the ballot. Nothing that can identify someone is allowed in the poll site within that 100-foot distance marker. And so what our officials normally do, because this happens in local elections, it's just not the national ones, is they will ask the person to go in and go to the restroom, turn it inside out. The judges usually take a sweater or a jacket, and they give it to them and say, cover it up. Then they can go vote. If they have like more than one, some of our more creative judges have taken these big sample ballots and taped them to them so that they're walking around like a sandwich board with a sample ballot. But again, it has every candidate on it, so it's really not campaigning. So again, we work with our officials. We know it's going to happen. All we can do is prepare them. But you knew that already.
All right, so I wanted to ask you about the voting machines, because they've been an issue for a while. There's a growing narrative that some people want to do away with those and go straight to just paper ballots. They feel that's the safest way. They feel that's the safest way to run an election. If the state ordered elections departments like yours just to do a straight paper ballot, no computers, what would that look like?
We would probably have the results in about 6 weeks. Hand counting is definitely difficult. And the way the Texas election code is set up now, obviously in Texas we all use the electronic and the paper. We've got the melded system. But if you move straight to, like the mail ballots, the full face ballot, and have to hand count that, it's tedious. You see how long this ballot is. And they would have to have teams of 3 people, 1 calling it, and then 2 have to have tally sheets. You know, 1 here, 1 here, and then what we do for recounts is like after every 10 we make sure we balance, because we don't want to get to the end of that sheet and be 3 off. So you have 2 people doing this. Okay, we do that after every election. We hand count 3 precincts randomly to make sure. That's called our partial manual count. But the election code still states, and this is the kicker, Michael, that once the hand count is started, it can only happen at the polling location, only at the voting location. So now we're asking the election officials who have run 12, 14 hours to now start counting paper ballots. And they may not stop until that process is over. And that's specified in the election code. So if you just look at that, that would tell you right here, we have to have the laws behind us, the election code, so that we can get, I hate to say common sense, but I couldn't stand here and say I'm going to require the judges who have been on their feet for 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours, to now stop, go in a room, sit down, and start tallying. That's almost inhumane.
The people who are pushing for this, they feel that this is the only way to get a true and accurate count because they don't trust computers.
Right.
If I had to ask your opinion, a hand count with that many people, would that be more or less, or give me your opinion on the accuracy if we were to do it that way?
I mean, that's a great question. You know the answer to that. You know, as I just explained, if you take 3 people who have worked all day, and on those ballots, there's not a whole lot of space between ovals. There's not a whole lot of space between ovals. And so, yes, I almost can guarantee that they will not be as accurate as our machine counts.
But they can't be hacked, or
No, that's very true. That's very true. But it also will make for an election that never ends, because someone will challenge and want to recount those, which, when you put in the proper paperwork, you're eligible to do. And then we'd start again, and then match that with what they told us on election night. So again, I stand here with full faith in our election system, and with full faith for my election officials. That's as good as we can get.